Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Pascal Breyer. I'm the Group Chief Innovation Officer at Capgemini. And today I'd like to talk about the next wave of digital transformation and the problem of trust within that next wave of digital transformation. So to start that presentation, maybe let me start with the obvious, and I'm sorry for that. But the fact is that we are currently living through times where industries are having a lot of pressures. That starts obviously with a technology avalanche. Technology avalanche, what I mean by that is not only the fact that there are a lot of new IT and digitals coming in, but I also refer to many progress in nanotechnologies, quantum computing, material science, biotechnology, energy management, 3D metal printing, robotics, mechatronics. All of these technologies, all of those progresses are creating a lot of pressure on many industries. This is coming at the same time where there is this new customer era, which is obviously increased by the pandemic situation, where our customers currently now are getting used to online transactions, to using social media, to virtual communication, urging most of the companies to change the way they interact with their customers and build their loyalty programs. All of this, obviously, in a time of pandemic, and I will not insist on that, but this pandemic time is already urging some industries to start reinventing themselves because they know that what's coming next after the pandemic will not be more of the same. There will be more radical changes to be implemented, and some industries are heavily impacted and no changes will be big. And all of this finally in front of growing pressures coming from a very different environment, which are about things like social, climate, sustainability, and other new imperatives. So as a summary of this current situation, I would say that what we see is that most industries are ready for radical changes going forward. And in front of all those changes, when we look at digital transformation, which is in our world of technology, the preferred way for companies to react and adapt to the new normal, if I may say so. When we look at what has been done over the last 10 years regarding digital transformation, we might say that until now, transformation has mainly hit the headquarters with two focus. The first one is on the main processes. So companies have tried to streamline their main processes and to become more agile by doing so. The second area of focus has been what I would call the customer journey, making sure that the interactions with customer will take advantage of digital to build a new type of relationship. But that leaves a lot of opportunities untapped, and mainly into the industrial world. So we definitely think that the next wave of digital transformation would be going after this industrial world. And this transformation will be characterized by three main levels. The first one is the product. Products become digital. Whatever the industry you're in, companies try to make sure that their products incorporate everything that's needed to become smart. Basically, that would include two areas, software and communication, connectivity. So most products that are out today are full of software, full of connectivity. Those products, those smart products, more and more will be built through smart industrial operations. So going after the fact that you will put IoT connectivity into the plant and try to streamline your processes as well into the industrial operation, whether that's the engineering part or whether that's the manufacturing part. And finally, if you have smart products being built through smart operations, obviously, then you can build new type of services with your ecosystem that is using these new digital capabilities. So smart products, smart operation, and new services for us is what characterizes the next wave of digital transformation. Obviously, this will put a lot of pressure on data. All of this will create data. Products will create data, operations will create data, these services will create data. So you will have to ensure the consistency of those data everywhere. You will have to ensure managing the volume of the data, and as well as the security and the safety of your data assets. So digitizing core industrial processes at scale will really be going after products, going after operations, building new services, and making sure that you have an overall data strategy to manage all of this. What we call at Capgemini intelligent industry is really about extending digital transformation beyond what we do today to these three environments of intelligent products and systems, intelligent operations, intelligent support and services. And obviously, what's important is to do this at scale. So the way we want to do that is it's complex because you need obviously to go after all of those environments, but also you need a methodology to get there. It's not that easy to go after an industrial digital transformation and expect to get results if you don't follow a given methodology. We advise most of our customers in our approach to digital transformation to really look at three layers. The first one is what we would call digital insight. This is about connecting objects to the real world. This is almost a physical layer into the digital transformation. This is about making sure that you put digital inside your product, digital inside your machine. So things like putting sensors onto the machine. That's why I call it almost a physical layer to digital transformation. This is a very important process. It takes time, but to some extent, this would be the enabling platform for digital transformation of the industrial world. So digital inside would be the first layer. The second layer is about ensuring digital continuity. When we build this digital transformation in the industrial world, obviously we will use a lot of cloud technologies, a lot of AI technologies, a lot of data technologies. And what's going to be important is to make sure about consistency and obviously continuity between the overall process of engineering and manufacturing products. So digital continuity will be a key layer and a key success factor into the next wave of digital transformation. This is all about, I would say, two things. First of all, creating a chain of command and applications that are ensuring the consistency of data and processes. The second one is also being able of creating a virtual environment of the real world, what people would call avatar or digital twin. So there will be a lot of appetite for AR, VR technologies and digital twin technologies to make sure that as much as you create digital in the real world, you also create an image of that real world into the virtual world through AR, VR, and digital twin. So this is the second layer of digital continuity. Now, if you want to extend that environment into building new services that will use your digital products and your digital operations and open your environments with your partners, with your suppliers, maybe with your customers, and build scenarios and ecosystem like smart city, digital therapeutics, car sharing. Obviously, you will also need to go to the next layer that we call digital convergence, which is about digitizing your core processing and also making them available to work with the external world. That third layer of digital convergence is a very complex one, but in many scenarios like car sharing or digital therapeutics, for example, that I mentioned before, this is absolutely essential because most of the time this will require several companies, several entities to work together. So as a summary, the next wave of digital transformation for us is almost something like a matrix type of organization where companies will have to look at the way they build intelligent products, systems, and services, the way they make their operations smart, the way they build intelligent support and services with their ecosystem. And to do this, we think that the best way to do it would be a stepped approach in which you look at digital in three waves. The first one is to put digital inside of all those environments. The second one is to ensure continuity of digital. And the third one is to look at convergence into it. And obviously, all of this will be powered by the people who would be managing those operations, because it's, as always, in a project like this, I would say a change, a cultural change to manage, but also making sure you have a data strategy which is helping those environments to evolve to this intelligent industry era. Sorry. So that's a lot of technologies, obviously, to put together in this environment. And you might say, yeah, but how do I make sure that this all works together? And that's a fair question. One of the key questions going forward will be about trust. How far can I trust everything I'm building? And trust, the challenge of trust in this very demanding technological playing field will be absolutely important. What I just described is in fact a world in which we will have highly connected devices, data-intensive systems that will be, by the way, hard to validate due to the volume we will manage. We will have an extensive use of automatic code generation. We will integrate large number of components. We will have an extensive use of AI and ML technologies, which will replace some traditional control approaches. This will, at some point, jeopardize any safety and security policy that we had before. So obviously, the question of trust will be raised to the highest standards and will come high onto the agenda of any CIO, CTO, or Chief Digital Officer, which is really looking after the next wave of digital transformation. I would say that challenges will be in many aspects. Obviously, my slides doesn't mean to frighten everybody about it. It's just it means to be something like a wake-up signals on all the things we will have to look at after. Things like, for example, autonomous or autonomy. There will be more and more objects, starting with cars and transportations, but also robots that will act autonomously. And there will be a lot of questions being raised by the world of autonomy, if I may say so. Let's take the example of autonomous car. The first and very easy question would be, for anyone using a car, do I trust the vehicle? So obviously, for someone building the car, is how do I make sure that I build the right components within the product that makes my users comfortable with the fact they can trust the vehicle? So first question, how do I trust the vehicle? Second question, even if I'm a pedestrian, how do I trust the vehicles around me? So how do I make sure I'm acting into a trusted environment, if I may say so? Third question, in a world of autonomy, the object itself will talk to the environment, to the infrastructure, like cars will talk to the traffic light. Cars might talk to some aspect of the smart city devices. So how do I make sure I also trust the infrastructure and the communication between the various objects? So there will be, as we can see, a lot of questions being raised by this autonomy. Everything I've said with cars would be true, I mean, within a plant, if cars are replaced by robots. Do I trust the robots? Do I, as a worker within this environment, do I trust the fact that the robots see me and they would care about me? Do I trust the way my robots would talk to the environment and what is going to create? So all of this, the world of autonomy would require a specific look into the way you trust your system. Automatization, is creating the same kind of questions, obviously with robots, with cobots, and their behavior, the way they interact, and the way they create a trusted environment and they respect safety within the working environment. The code generation automation as well, if we make our products smart and all products have software into it, most of that software will be automatically generated. This will create a lot of pressure on testing, and so for testing we might be also using AI. So that's adding another layer of automation. So how do we build trust about the code generation that we put into everything almost we build? AI in itself would be a specific presentation. I mean, there's a lot of question, obviously, about AI, and I won't in that presentation answer all of those questions. The main question in the industrial world and in the next generation about AI would be a question around how do I make sure that the AI system does not have either poor, wrong, malicious, or erratic behavior. So obviously, poor behavior is, I don't know whether I can trust it because sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Wrong is even worse, is because some AI being trained on what we call black box, which means I don't know exactly how they make decision. They might come to wrong decision, and I know it's wrong, but I don't know, and I don't understand why they came to wrong decisions. Malicious is even worse. We've seen some examples of AI black box systems, which comes to very strange decision making, because in fact the patterns they are using is not the right one. We had these cases, for example, in healthcare, where we were trying to use AI in detecting code defect and quality issues on producing medicine, and we saw that the AI system was working most of the time, but sometimes had very strange decisions making because it was making decision on wrong patterns, and since we could have access to the way it was making decision, we were able to change the way it was making those decisions. But the complex challenge of AI, black box AI, is adding complexity to the overall use of this technology. So trust will be a key question around it, and obviously we will have to come with answers for that. At Capgemini, we have built both a specific methodology to address that, methodology which is called RAPID, which is helping our customers making decision on how far they can trust AI. And the second one is a program called Cortex, in which we are in fact training not only our own people, but also our customers on the way they should be using AI and make decision according to the kind of use they are making of AI. And the last one is what we would call the identification of assets. The fact that we are building very complex environments means that we are not just managing one piece of software or hardware. Now we are managing complex ecosystem of technical entities, if I may say so. And the first problem is to identify where the problem could come from and where the complexity is. So we have an even more complex than before understanding where problems might come from, and that will add a challenge on trust and the way we can look at it. Now, I just wanted to mention on that aspect the fact that if we want to be successful with this next wave of automation, autonomy into systems, and digital transformation going into the industrial world, we will have to get to a state where we can ensure that we are secure and safe by design. And this will take a lot of efforts by all of us, I mean, in the technology world, to make sure that we offer this secure and safe environment. This would be a presentation in itself as well. I just want to mention on that regard an initiative that we took in Portugal to create, I would say, a generic effort into making sure that we could have an industry-wide and an academy-wide effort into looking at this problem of secure and safe. So we created something which is called Vortex. And Vortex Collab is the part of Vortex, which is in fact this association which is trying to bring industry and academies together to try to transfer quickly some cutting-edge research that we do around many technologies into tangible solution in the areas of cyber physical system and cyber security, just to make sure that everybody can get some secure and safe type of environment. So we have obviously chosen some key environments to start with. V2X communication is one. V2X is vehicle-to-vehicle communication or vehicle-to-infrastructure communication. So this will support the process of going to autonomous car, autonomous planes, and autonomous transportation to some extent going forward, and defining the way we can ensure secure and safe environment between the objects themselves, but also between the objects and the environment. We are also taking some initiatives around safety mixed critical system, which is how do you build complex ecosystems of in various type of activities that would take all those things together. And finally, we are looking at research, quantum research, so quantum into the cybersecurity world, and mainly quantum key distribution on how you can use quantum computing going forward into building new type of cybersecurity system. So as a conclusion, the next wave of digital transformation that we call intelligent industry will be a sector play, which means that the next wave of digital transformation will take into account the very specifics of industry. But to go to that digital transformation, we think that you will have to have a framework to instantiate that digital transformation. And we offer this Capgemini triple play to do this, looking at digital insight, digital continuity, and digital convergence. And on top of it, trust will be a key question that's going to be on top of the agenda going forward, because the success of the next wave of digital transformation is all about the fact that we as companies and our customers will trust everything we will offer in the future. Thank you very much.